Welcome back to CIA Declassified. We've left the scorched earth of Operation Tippecanoe and entered the sterile, fluorescent-lit hallways of the Edgewood Arsenal. By the early 1960s, the Cold War wasn't just about who had the biggest bomb, it was about who could control the reality of the enemy. The military wanted a humane weapon, something that could neutralize a city without destroying its buildings. They found it in a glycolate anticholinergic known as 3-quineuclidinyl benzilate. To the men in the white coats, it was just a compound. To those who breathed it, it was the mind fogger. This is the story of BZ, and I'm going to call it BZ through the rest of the podcast. If you would like the spelling, it's the number 3, a dash QUINUCLIDINYL space BENZILATE. Okay, moving on. To weaponize a hallucination, the agency had to turn human beings into data points. Between 1959 and 1975, approximately 2,800 soldiers were exposed to BZ at Edgewood Arsenal as part of a secret testing program to determine its efficiency as an incapacitating agent. A quote from a declassified 1964 Army Medical Research Report. The subject under the influence of BZ is characterized by a complete loss of contact with reality, exhibiting phantom grooming, plucking at imaginary objects, and an inability to sustain a coherent thought process for up to 80 hours, end quote. The agency conducted Aerosol-Trials in specialized cloud chambers, measuring how long the compound stayed suspended in the air. They found that in a humid environment like Vietnam, a single cluster bomb could keep a square mile in a state of delirium for 4 days. Quote from the testimony of a former test subject. I sat in that room and watched people who weren't there walk through walls. I tried to talk to them, but my tongue felt like a piece of dry wood. I forgot I was a soldier. I forgot I was a man. End quote. The archives reveal the long-term effect studies showing that 15% of the subjects suffered from reoccurring flashbacks and permanent memory deficits decades after their single exposure. A declassified 1961 document reveals that the research teams found BZ to be effectively odorless and colorless when dispersed, making it impossible for a target to know they were being dosed until the hallucinations began. A quote from the 1963 Chemical Corps Field Manual. The tactical advantage of an incapacitating agent lies in the requirement for the enemy to provide medical care for affected personnel, thus diverting resources away from the front lines. End quote. The release highlights the volatility index, a set of data proving that BZ was so powerful that it could be absorbed through the skin if the concentration in the air reached a specific threshold. Declassified logs from 1965 show that the agency experimented with dart guns designed to inject BZ directly into sentries, allowing for a totally silent infiltration of high security Soviet sites. The audit confirms that BZ was stockpiled in M43 cluster bombs, each containing 57 separate canisters designed to saturate an area with a fine, invisible mist upon impact. While the chemical formula is public, the absolute heaviest redactions in the release, the black hole files, are found in the collective unconscious manipulation logs. Over 1,200 pages regarding the 1968 urban aerosol simulations are completely redacted and inked out. Why is the dream state results still buried? Get ready for the theory of the permanent dream. Speculation suggests BZ was used to create sleeper cities. This theory claims the redactions hide the logs from 1968, alleging the agency spiked the water or air of a small Midwestern town to see if they could keep a population in suggestible state for months, with the black bars masking the post-hypnotic trigger rate data. What if the hallucinations were real? A dark rumor suggests BZ allowed subjects to see into a shadow dimension. The theory claims the redactions in the entity contact manifest hide reports where subjects across different rooms described the exact same gray being standing over them, suggesting the chemical wasn't a drug, but a frequency key to another world. Hidden behind the ink of the post-trial processing section, some claim the agency discovered a way to use BZ to permanently delete specific weeks from a person's life. Looking at the blacked-out remote viewing correlation logs, theorists argue the agency used BZ-doped subjects as psychic probes to scout Soviet bunkers. The mirror mind theory posits that the redactions in the symptom consistency files hide the fact that the subjects began to take on the personalities of the researchers, with the black bars masking the identity transfer stats. Paranoid whispers regarding the genetic residual files claim that BZ altered the DNA of the subject's children, and the black bars hide the mutation charts. Gossip suggests the redactions in the neurological mapping section prove that BZ activated a God module in the brain, and the black bars hide the religious ecstasy measurements. In the transmission stability files, massive redactions cover the radio frequency trials, allegedly showing that BZ-soaked brains could receive Morse code without a radio. The mass delusion theory argues that the redactions prove the agency used BZ at Woodstock to prevent a riot, and the black bars mask the crowd-controlled dosages. Lastly, some whisper that the redactions hide the fact that BZ was actually an extraterrestrial fluid found in a 1950s crash, and the black bars mask the alien chemistry analysis. Was BZ a success? Tactically, it was a volatile mess. While BZ was incredibly effective at incapacitating people, it was too unpredictable. A soldier in a trance might sit down and play with dirt, or they might pick up a rifle and fire blindly into their own ranks. The 80-hour recovery time also made it a logistical nightmare for occupying forces. Strategically, it was a cautionary tale. The program proved that chemical mind control was a double-edged sword. In 1989, the U.S. began destroying its stockpiles. BZ proved that when you break the glass mind, you can never quite glue the pieces back together the same way. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the glass mind left a legacy of neurological understanding, such as pharmacological incapacitation, the birth of non-lethal weapons doctrine focusing on the central nervous system, aerosol dispersal physics, breakthroughs and particle size optimization ensuring chemicals could penetrate standard issue gas masks. Neuromapping, the brain scan data from Edgewood provided the most detailed map of acetylcholine system ever created. acetylcholine. Cognitive resilience training, the development of mental shielding techniques for CIA officers to resist chemical interrogation. BZ shows us that the agency was willing to cross the threshold of the human soul to win the Cold War. As the files reveal, once you open the door to the mind fog, you never truly find your way home. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine Operation Moonstruck. In the late 1970s, the agency looked to the horizon. Operation Moonstruck was the secret program to use ELF waves, extremely low frequency, to alter the moods of entire naval crews from hundreds of miles away. We'll uncover the signal buoys, we'll look at the insomnia manifest, the suicide cluster reports, and the moment the agency realized that the ocean can carry more than just ships. It can carry insanity. Join us next time for the tides of terror. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.